Hello world, and welcome back to whatever this is. And this is one of those stories that sounds ridiculous until it doesn't. African Americans and ancient Jews, completely different worlds, right? But zoom out, far out, and the similarities start to whisper through time. Both communities at the fringes of fading empires. Both about 12% of the population, both creative, defiant, and somehow always at the center of the story. It's not prophecy, it's pattern. Let's get right into it. The Jews under Rome weren't rebels just for the sake of it. They simply refused to trade truth for comfort. They lived inside the empire but followed a different law. One older, closer to nature, and far less flexible. African Americans live in a similar tension. They are America's heartbeat and its critique at the same time. Inside the empire, but never completely absorbed by it. Every empire has its conscience living on the margins. Rome had Judea, America has the South Side. It's strange. Both groups just about 12% of the population. Not enough to steer the empire, but enough to change its soul. The Jews gave us moral law. African Americans gave us cultural rhythm. Both turned pain into export. Ethics in one case and music in the other. When the Roman world began to crumble, Jewish communities expanded beyond its borders. They became merchants, translators, and traders, connecting worlds that Rome could not. Today, a quiet echo. A generation of African Americans, from digital nomads to passport bros, are testing life outside of the US. It's not just a lifestyle trend, it's economic repositioning. A diaspora rediscovering trade, mobility, and leverage on a global scale. You can call it the soft opening of a new merchant class. Now here is where the parallel bends. The Jews had a unifying story. A shared covenant that gave structure to their suffering. Their religion was more than a belief. It was a legal system for existence. African Americans, however, their faith is everywhere and nowhere. Christianity, Islam, Black Hebrewism, and a dozen other spiritual hybrids. Freedom created diversity, but diversity diluted their unity. Black Hebrewism might be speculative theology, but the irony is the real historical parallels make African Americans more like the ancient Jews than that speculative identity ever could. They don't need to be the original Israelites to reflect their story because they're already living the rhyme. Rome, they had the Colosseum. America has TikTok. Different tech, same strategy. Distract the masses while the marble cracks. And who fills the stage? The people once kept outside the gates. The Jews gave the empire a new god. African Americans gave the empire a new sound. Both turned exclusion into influence, because when the empire runs out of meaning, it starts borrowing from the margins. The Jews didn't overthrow Rome, they outlasted it through networks, literacy, and trade. And maybe African Americans are approaching the same inflection point. Protest has its place, but power lives in mobility. The ability to take your story global and turn narrative into capital. When you sell your art, your influence, and your ideas worldwide, you're no longer asking for a seat at the table. You are indeed exporting the furniture. Maybe these similarities aren't obvious because they aren't supposed to be. Empires don't end with fireworks. They fade quietly, and in that fading, new civilizations gestate. The Jews carried the flame of order out of Rome. African Americans just might be carrying the flame of creativity out of America. So when this empire finally becomes another chapter in a history textbook, somewhere in Lagos, in Sao Paulo, or Nairobi, A descendant of this diaspora will be trading, building, creating. Every empire falls, but within those empires, the wise ones pack first. Thank you for watching until the end. Let me know your opinions in the comment section, and if you found any of this content valuable, consider liking, sharing, or subscribing to our page so that we may continue growing this acquaintance. Until next time, from Kenya with love, peace.